Good afternoon, all. I had to restart this live and process. One, the Jill Scott song was muted. Two, there were some other technical difficulties. So before I get started with today's topic, I'm going to give you all a few minutes to come on in. In the meantime, I am going to be drinking today. Let's see if I can, zero sugar cherry lime kombucha. Okay, as you've known, for those who've been following me for years, I must have something to drink while I am at live or recording. How y'all doing today? I hope you're doing well. Um, when you drop your comments, let me know which city and state you're in. As for me, I am here in Newark, New Jersey. We're at a minute and 20 seconds. Excuse me. I will start at the 2 minute mark. Okay? Minute 56 seconds. Okay. So today we will discuss how to bounce back from a smear campaign. All right. What do you do when people start lying on your name and others believe it? Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to take your power back from a smear campaign. Now, before we get started, let me introduce myself. Again, my name is Arlene J. Ramsey, CEO and founder of Everyone Let's Talk, also your favorite self-wealth mentor. I am also now CEO and founder of Mediators Medium and am soon to be your favorite civil and family and divorce court mediator. I hope you all are doing well. For those of you who have experienced a smear campaign and you're in the middle of a smear campaign, drop your comments. Let me know how you're faring, how you're dealing with things. Also, let me know what you did to recover. Let's get into it. The three things that you need to stop doing or start doing immediately. Number one, remain calm. Why it's important to remain calm is that your actions and reactions will be used against you. Now, let me first let me go through this list, and then I'm going to go on to explain what a smear campaign is. Right? What you do and say will be used against you. Right? And so, I'm sorry. In that, I'm not quite sure what your personal or your self-development habits are, right? So for me, I know it's easy to say remain calm. I have a extensive background of meditating, personal development, using strategies to remain calm. I've read books, go hiking, I cycle, I go for walks, you name it, right? So I don't want to put anything on people that may seem like it's hard to do, but I need you to understand why you need to, at some point, practice the skill of remaining calm. And remaining calm doesn't mean just, keeping all your anger to yourself. Remaining calm means finding ways to disperse that anger so that it is not resting within. Because if it is resting within, people can still see that you're angry. And the goal of a smear campaign is to ruin your reputation and also do things to provoke you and have you also ruin your reputation. And they would rather you do that opposed to them looking like the bad guy, right? So remaining calm is paramount to um, navigating with good stealth and strategy while you're in the midst of a smear campaign. Okay. Number two, do not correct any lies if anyone is speaking lies in front of you. Now, I know that may be the hardest thing to do because self preservation is the first law of nature, right? In that, the first thing that comes to our mind is to defend ourselves so that we keep ourselves well positioned. However, a smear campaign is not set up for rationale, reasoning, conflict resolution, discussing things through. Somewhere along the line, the ringleader or the puppet master has made the decision to ruin your career, ruin your opportunities, ruin your reputation. Therefore, nothing you say will be taken into account. Right. So speaking on behalf of yourself and trying to correct lies in the face or in the presence of people who are lying on your name is not going to work in your best interest, right? Some of you may say, why? Okay. Well, have you ever experienced trying to communicate or work things through with someone who has absolutely no intentions on working things through? What they do, it's the gaslight, it's the word salad. Everything you say will be twisted and regurgitated as something else. And then when you try to correct that, it will be twisted and regurgitated as something else. So it's like the effect of the dog chasing its tail. You will be stuck in a loop. And that's what they're waiting for, which is why they provoke and bait in these kind of circumstances and instances. So your best strategy is not to correct lies in the presence of people who are lying and saying things about you, right? There's ways that you can, defend yourself, but not to directly defend lies in the presence of people who are actually speaking the lies. The third thing you're going to do is pay attention to associations. What I mean by that is people who have been lying on your name that you can see, the people that you can see that are actually creating or doing the things to ruin your reputation, those are not the people that actually pulled the trigger or the people that gave the green light to have your reputation ruined. They are usually connected to someone else who's not directly hands on with the ruining of your reputation. These people are behind the scenes and they may not be someone that have great power, right? People that have great power in a sense, especially if they have integrity, do not, focus so much on the person that's so many tiers below them. Typically, the person who orchestrated this is someone who whose ego is bruised, who is insecure, who is envious of your job skills, your leadership skills, your personality, your looks. There's various reasons as to why someone would orchestrate a smear campaign against you. However, pay attention to the associations of the people who are doing it. Right now, I know some of you may think, "Oh, that's a lot of work. I don't think that that's something that I want to do." Well, I'm going to say this. Smear campaigns don't happen to people who are not worth their salt. Like people who are remedial or people who go along to get along, people who don't have leadership skills, but they are a part of the group. They follow instructions, they follow directives or carry out directives. Those people do not have smear campaigns against them. Smear campaigns happen to people who are extraordinary, people who stand out for whatever reason. There's so many reasons. There are in this world, there's 8.3 billion people in this world, and we're all different. So whatever it is about you that makes you stand out is what is being targeted. That is the very thing that has makes someone feel insecure about themselves because they're choosing to feel insecure. These are people that pay attention or look at your skill sets and your wins, and they think that your skill sets, your abilities, your wins mean that they're losing. They don't see their wins, right? They don't focus on themselves. They don't practice gratitude. They don't self reflect about who they are and what their wins are. Their focus is always projecting outward and scanning for people who have abilities that they don't have just to ruin those people, right? And so I know many people are out here naive, excuse me, and some of us are not that naive. You know, we think that we're around people that you've called friends and associates for a while, but when's the last time a stranger ever betrayed you? Right? The people that betray us is usually the people that we call friends, people that are family, people that we know have strong association with. And so, in that, those are the very same people we best need to learn how to assess their character and assess if these people are healthy for us to be around. Now, why that's important. Knowing who you are, the skill sets you possess, I will say this: it doesn't help for us to be naive out here in the world. If you know that you like to do great things, if you know that you have great leadership qualities, you should also know that what comes with that is people that are trying to ruin your reputation and ruin your character. In that, you should already be learning how to have strategies in play and plan to offset any smear campaign or any attacks on your reputation, your character, your business, your relationships. Also, when you get to the point in life where you perform with great exceptionalism, it is a natural human reaction that many people will feel that they will never be able to match that level of exceptionalism. And in that, that's the foundation for their envy, right? And so it's important for me to say this because a smear campaign is successful by the many people that pretend that they believe the lies about you and believe the rumors. They know the rumors are not true, right? People can see you and know that you are not this person or not doing what they're saying that you're doing. But because people have insecurities and they see you with great exceptionalism, or they see you as someone that has reached the level that they can ever reach, they don't care about helping to preserve your name. You know, for them, this is a way to knock you down. That is society, right? And I'm not here to question why people are like that, right? Because everybody is not born leaders. We all aren't born leaders. Some people are here to be workers, and it is okay. And this is not to say one group or class of people is better than the other. What this is to say is you have to have clarity about who you are in this world so that you can know where to place yourself. And even in knowing how to position and place yourself, do understand what comes with the territory of being you. It is a natural thing. So again, people who have reached exceptional levels of whatever their artistry and their craft is, that is going to breed envy because it is it's not an easy thing to do. If it was easy, most people would do it. So people clearly see that these are levels of performances that they won't ever reach, and some people don't try to reach it. Right? There's people in the world that don't care about personal or self development. They're comfortable with where they are, and they can survive in that space. And there's nothing wrong with that. The challenge with that is that people who perform at greatness and want to be exceptional are going to be attacked by the very people who do not develop themselves past mediocrity. That is the truth. And there's no better way to say it. It is the truth, right? And so we're not here to change those people and try to get people to want to perform at levels of greatness, right? Because what's easy for you to do is something that is probably unattainable to other people. We don't know other people's thresholds, and so we're not to project what we do onto other people, right? Yes, because we tend to think that negative people are the only people that project, but people who are positive, or people who are self-directed, self-motivated, we oftentimes project our thresholds onto other people. Oh, well, all you have to do is this, or I can help you do this. Let's go. Come on, let's get it. That's only going to work with people who have the same or similar capacity and bandwidth as you. For others, it doesn't work. For others, they're comfortable, because in order to break out of the shell to get to that level of performance, it is a rigorous process. And so some people start to say to themselves, is it worth it for me to do this? Like, it's not a job. They're comfortable with how they, perform on their job. And so some people consider doing extra as doing too much for them. And it's putting themselves through a rigorous process that's more than annoying. It doesn't make them happy, right? So we ought to understand that. Now, when I say understand that, I'm not saying to just have empathy for people and give people grace for assassinating your character. That's not what I'm saying. It's a matter of understanding who you are and understanding who others are, so that you can position yourself well and move in this world where you are already creating barriers and structures that is smear campaign proof. Why this is important: if you do not have structures and barriers in place that is smear campaign proof, when you go through a smear campaign, it may be extremely difficult for you to bounce back. Many people have ended up moving out of their state, out of their city, because they cannot bounce back. They're unable to get jobs. No one wants to work with them. And again, people, when you are exceptional in your performance or how you show up in the world, other people feel uncomfortable around you. A lot of people are not inspired by greatness, right? You are inspired by greatness. I am inspired by greatness. So if I see a great person walking in front of me, I'm inspired. I'm not saying that I'm a fan, but I'm inspired because I understand what it takes to perform and reach that level of greatness. And it says to me that this is a representation of what I can do. Not saying that I'm going to do exactly what they're doing, but saying that I have the bandwidth to reach new heights and new levels of greatness in what it is that I do. So, because I have a built in system of aspiration, I see the silver lining. Anything and anyone is inspiration for me. That is not how it works for everybody else. So, we have to be clear about that. The other thing is this: we have to hold ourselves accountable, right? Aside from having these skill sets and talking about people who envy and these things, what is it that we're doing that's triggering certain responses? Hmm? What is it that we're doing that's triggering certain responses? Now, I get it. Some of you who have been through these smear campaigns may sit here and say, Arlene, I am not wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything to. I understand. I understand. And sometimes we make mistakes and sometimes we step on people's toes and we didn't realize we stepped on someone's toes. And we didn't realize that that very same person now is they have a vengeance, and that vengeance is attached to you being who you are, them being who they are, and wanting the opportunity to bring you down, right? But I'll say this: you're right and you're wrong. And this is what I had to learn when I've experienced my smear campaign. Some of us are too humble. Some of us are too humble. I said to myself, I'm going to have to take that word humble out of my vocabulary. Humility, yes, but I'm going to have to take the word humble out of my vocabulary, right? Because we have to know who we are and understand how people perceive us, not because we care about what people think about us, but because we need to know if we're placing ourselves, that we're the big fish placing ourselves in the pond of piranhas. And it doesn't matter how big you are and how great you are, but if you're placing yourself in a pond of piranhas, you will be defeated, because piranhas are vicious and they work in schools. There's schools like school of fish. So you're not dealing with one. Although one piranha can grow to be extremely huge, for the most part, the way they live is they're a school of piranhas. So that's why it's important to have clarity of who you are to others. This is not an inferiority, superiority scale. This is a clarity scale. This is an accountability scale. So what I learned about myself is I was too humble. The other thing is I was dealing with grief. I've lost four family members, and that include my sister and a cousin that I've raised from Pampers on up. So thinking that I was around people that were friends or associates, thinking that I could be who I am and still be allowed to go through my grieving process, to where if you look at me, you can tell that I'm not all the way focused. I'm aware and I know what's going on, but I really am not involving myself in other people's interpersonal issues and challenges and those sorts of things. Not understanding that because of the very same thing that I explained earlier, there are going to be people that will see me in my grief as the perfect opportunity to strike and ruin my reputation, because it seems as if I am not the leader that I am. Although they know it, although they know I'm dealing with grief, they don't care, right? Compassion and empathy is never going to be tools that a person or people who are looking to ruin your character is going to use. It's just not going to happen, right? So ask ourselves, because this is about learning from our situations so that we can, in life, when we move forward, not recreate the same circumstances that we just came from, right? Because now that wouldn't make sense. So life is also about learning from your mistakes, and for me also learning from other people's mistakes so that I don't recreate the same hardship. There's no reason to recreate the same hardships, because all we do is waste our time and our life. We should be learning, okay? And I hope that you take this as the opportunity to learn and hold yourself accountable as to why you got here. Now, here's why I say this. There are some people that operate and perform at levels of greatness, and they don't allow themselves around groups of people at all, right? And what people like you and me would say back in those days, when you see a person isolate and you see them doing great things, you see them on TV, they're from your very same community, but they are never in the midst of the community. They have their small group of friends and people that they build with and continue to work with, and that's it. You don't ever see them. right? And so for me, I didn't judge them, but I said to myself, listen, I love being a part of community, right? Although I have great levels of stoicism, I still love being around community and being involved with the people and in with the activities. And it was that mindset that put me in the problems that I've ended up experiencing, because I also was too humble in how I viewed myself. I didn't see me the way other people saw me. Those people who never were in situations like that saw who they are and knew who people saw them to be, and knew that they would be a target for a smear campaign. Therefore, they never allowed that opportunity to happen. They've always kept themselves at a distance. Okay. So it is imperative that we understand that as well. And this is for community environment. Well, I'm not talking about smear campaigns on your job, right? I'm talking about community involvement in spaces and structures where you're not working in a job, but you're able to be reached by communities or structures of people. This is the type of smear campaign I'm speaking about. Now, let me move on to why I say it's important to know who you are to an extent. If you know who you are, you would already be have relationships with different groups of people. You would have worked and built something with different groups of people. Yes or no? Right? Because I know I have. Why this is important is once a smear campaign, or like Nicki Minaj would say, the hate train. Once a hate train has started and it have left the station, everybody along the station path is going to participate in the ruining of your name and of your reputation. They're going to participate not wanting you to be successful. That means that your business will go nowhere. Doors won't open. You won't get that grant. You won't get that contract. Therefore, ensuring that you have relations worked and builds with other groups of people is extremely important. And if you are who you know yourself to be and who you say you are, you would have already done that. And so I'm going to hope that you have done that. If not, and if you're in the middle of a smear campaign, I'm going to tell you at this moment, start creating associations with other groups of people that are not connected to the people that you were once connected to, because that hate train has already left, and there will be absolutely nothing you can do to change their minds and to stop them from ruining your reputation. Next, continue to build and work with other groups of people in silence. All your wins are your wins. You don't have to post and speak about your wins. I wonder how I can, let me see, because I need to, hold on. Not, 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I had to go for a separation. That's what we say when we go hiking. Okay, I forgot to complete why you should pay attention to associations, right? Remember, I said that in the third thing to start doing. Why it's important to pay attention to associations, meaning who the people who are targeting you are associated with, is because this going back into building with other groups of people. What you don't want is to attempt to build, work with, and you know, associate different groups of people, but people in that group are the ones that are orchestrating the other group to ruin your reputation, right? So it's imperative that you pay attention to associations. So when you do build with new and different groups of people, they are separate from this this other group and these other groups who have made themselves very visible that they are connected and they are with the program and understand the assignment. So now what this looks like for you is that you're going to go ahead and build with different groups of people. If you need to go to school, go to college, go to a college program, get a different degree. That's what I did. Get a different degree or different certifications, and do all of that silently. Again, you don't need to post your wins. You just need to stack your wins. Be mindful of your character. Continue to be who you are. And I understand the vexation, but I know it's easier said than done, but I have experienced the smear campaign, which lasted for over 6 years, right? So I know it's easier said than done. However, don't fret. Stay stealth, stay calm, build and work with different groups of people. Mind what comes out of your mouth, mind your character, right? Because our reputation, although it's extremely important, our reputation don't supersede our character. Our character to the core is who we are. That means people who are not involved in the nonsense is going to say, no, wait a minute. I know Arlene. I've known her ever since X, Y, and Z, and her character has always been A, B, and C, right? You don't want for you to shift in character and in nature because you're angry and shift into survival mode to protect yourself and ruin your character. You have to remain in alignment with who you are at the core, right? The other thing is our ego. Recede the ego. Learn to use our ego in another way. Most people, your ego will have you want to defend yourself now. Excuse me, show anger, hostility, aggression now. That's not going to work. The moment you do that is the moment it's going to be like a rolling ball, like I said previously. And you won't win because the system is not for you to win. The system is for you is to drag you to filth. And so, being that they are already ruining your name, you don't need to add to that. Separate you and your actions from what they're saying and doing. Let them say and do a thing. Let them paint a picture about you that doesn't exist. You continue to build in silence. You continue to get your certificates and your degrees. You continue to build and expound on your empire. You continue to be who you are. These are the things that they cannot take from you. And being that they don't know what you're working on, they cannot destroy. When you recede to silence about them and build with other groups of people, they don't know what to destroy, which is why that is extremely important to stay silent and pay attention to associations, right? Some of you may say, well, okay, if they're already smearing my name, why would they want to be around me? Why do I need to pay attention to associations? Great question. Back in the day, When people didn't like you, they stayed away from you. Nowadays, when their mind has been made up to ruin you, they take on passive aggressive and covert attacks. They don't want you to know that they're the ones that are attacking you because they want to keep access to you. Keeping access to you will give them information directly from you on what exactly you're dealing with and what you're working on. But people's goal is to ruin your reputation and ruin everything that you are working on. You maintaining access to them and letting them know what you're doing and what you're up to is giving them the information that they need to continue to ruin and assassinate everything that you are working on. So, what that will look like for you is that you will put in effort to try to rebuild yourself, and it will fall. You wouldn't grow. Your empire will continue to fall, and you wouldn't know why your empire is falling. And it is because someone that you're connected to, you're giving information to, because of course, when we're associates with people or friends or whatever it is that we're doing, these are things that we discuss. Like, hey, yeah, I've worked on this, or hey, yeah, I finally finished school, or I finally finished that program and I have my master's now, or I have this now. These are the conversations that you have with people that you know. And in that, that gives them the information they need to go and talk to the respective people about you to ensure that you do not grow, that you do not become successful. And that could be dangerous because smear campaigns spread like wildfire. And whatever it is that they're saying about you, like I said previously, the currency that you have, that people consider that you have more than them, or you have what they don't have, that is enough for them to participate in a smear campaign to ruin your opportunities to grow. That's it. You don't have to have done anything to anybody but be great. However, it is the onus is on us to know who we are and know how to where to place ourselves and where to position ourselves. Now that we got that out of the way, that we're going to mind our character, continue to build and expound on our empire, because you don't have to change your empire. You just need to change who you were working with and trying to work with, because those doors are closed. But you are still who you are, and your empire still is still who it is, what it is. But when you're in this process of isolation, because that's what they do, it's meant to also, pull support from you. That is the perfect time to continue to work and build on yourself and do all the things that you want to do while you're isolated. When you're quiet, they think that you're defeated, right? So in that, they're going to be rested in that defeat. And even if some people who participate in smear campaigns come and see this video, the strategy that's being discussed here is never going to be information that you can use, because once a person has been isolated and they're silent about what they're doing, you have the slightest idea about what a person is working on next and what they will do next. That's just it, right? So the goal is to pay attention to associations and ensure that you are not staying connected to people who don't want to see you win. That is extremely important. Work on yourself. This is why I often say that self-awareness is paramount to self-development, growth, new heights of success. If we do not have self-awareness, we will perish, especially for those of us who are more stoic. Now, for many people are successful who that don't have self-awareness, but they operate in groups. So they hold each other up, they ping pong. It's a constant like this. It's work like pistons, where they're constantly doing this to hold each other up, right? And because they work in groups, it's hard to bring them down. It's hard to target a person in a group that is supported by a group and bring that person down, because the group is going to protect that person, and then they protect each other for however weak, whack, strong that is. But for those of us who have a different build, another thing is this, which I've learned later on in life. Having any type of neurodivergence, aside from people who have antisocial personality disorders, right? So your cluster B, C, A personality types, I am not talking about people in those groups, right? So we're going to put them to the side. But anyone that have any type of neurodivergence, where you're like level one autism, dyslexia, ADHD, you name it, neurodivergent people are hardwired differently. So we don't assimilate and conform to group dynamics. We are the type of people that can be in a group, can follow the group's orders and rules. Whatever the group is doing, we can do that, but we still stick out like a sore thumb, right? So you'll have the group of people moving like this, and the neurodivergent is moving like this, but still moving ahead. The neurodivergent sees things differently, does things differently. We do not suck up to hierarchy. Oftentimes, we are the people that are especially level one autism, right? Autistic. We're extremely multi-talented, multifaceted. Um, you know, um, yeah, we're great at many things. Like one of the things I call myself the Jane of all trades, master of self, right? There's the quote, jack of all trades, master of none. But when you master self, you can be somewhat a Jane, a jack of all trades, right? The thing that we need to master is self. And so that's how level one autistic people pretty much think. And that kinds of also gets under the skin of the person who consider themselves to be the ringleader, right? Often when you're dealing with groups where they think the same, and you have one person who wants to be seen as the leader, and they don't have the bandwidth to understand or the care to want to understand that there are different people here in the world. And oftentimes the person that they're looking to bring down have more leadership skills and qualities than them. But that is the very same person that they want to conform and shrink and look up to them as the leader, which is ridiculous. But that's the mentality that they have. In that, you'll be targeted. In that, they are also undereducated about who's in the room or who's in the group, nor do they care. So now, once you do all and you build in silence, the other thing I need you to do, and all of this is simultaneously, right? It cannot be compartmentalized and you work on one thing at a time, because life is holistic, right? So although I'm listing things one at a time, do know that these are the things that we should be focused on and we should be working on, but things are being done simultaneously, right? The other thing is document everything that is going on. Document what is being said about you, document who is doing it, document what you're doing. If you are making you're taking the initiative to stay distance or keep your distance from said people and group. However, people are making it their business to want to keep connections to you, want to know what you're up to, calling you, following you on different social media sites. You block them from Facebook, they follow you on or on TikTok, they follow you on Instagram, but you're blocking them. Make a note of that, right? Because this is going along the lines of organized harassment. And in all states throughout the United States, that is illegal. So make sure that you're documenting and taking notes of everything that you are experiencing, what people are saying and what people are doing, right? Because this is what we do know. If people have made it very clear that they don't like you and they don't want you around them, fine. When you separate yourself from them and you have absolutely nothing to do with them, and you're moving on to do things with other groups of people or in other directions, they should not be following you to those other directions. They should continue on with the groups that they are at and continue to do the things that they're doing with these groups of people. But when they make it their business to know what you're up to and cross boundaries to violate your personal decisions, your personal space, and what you're doing with your life, these are things that you can press charges about. This is why accountability is extremely important. When you hold yourself accountable and you remove yourself, the conflict should cease. It should cease. But don't tell them that. And I know people who are bullies who participate in that type of behavior will come here and see that. But yes, and it's okay for you to see it because your actions, once it's documented, you cannot get away from someone being able to press charges on you, right? So document everything, make note of everything. Now, the next thing is understand that smear campaigns thrive because of your silence. Because of your silence. And when you are a person that remained silent and made moves in silence, whether you made moves around them, away from them, or however you decided to do things, they pay attention to things like that. And they think that your silence represents or mean that you're defeated. They think that you care about your reputation so much that you yourself are hijacked and arrested from speaking up. And this, to them, they see this as a win for them to continue to smear your name and oftentimes even try to cause physical damage to you because they think that you being silent means that you didn't have any information out on what they're doing. And they're the ones that are constantly putting information out about you. Your silence was to that group, not to other groups of people. So when I said be silent, to that group of people, because their mind is already made up that this is how they're going to move and behave where you're concerned. You cannot change their mind because their minds are not warped. You is not, they know exactly who you are. And because of that, they in fact want to see you destroyed. That's it. So speaking and trying to clear your name with them is an exercise in futility. But what you will do is build your case in other areas with other people. Let other people in the community know what's going on with you. Just talk about it. It's not, make sure they understand that you're not looking for anybody to kind of speak up for you, but it's imperative that people know what you're dealing with and going through. Your silence is not absolute and all across the board. It's to these groups of people and their associations. The other thing is this: begin to speak out. Social media is a tool. Your community is a tool. Whatever community platform, whatever platform or structure that exists outside of this group of people that have been trying to destroy you, that's exactly where you're going to speak up to. When you start speaking up and getting community members involved that have higher positions, and people start seeing what's going on, it's going to put an end to that smear campaign. Because see, people in the smear campaign don't have high position. They just have high likership. High likership. And oftentimes people with antisocial personality disorders know how to get people to like them because they feed the dopamine effect in people. They always have a joke. They always, appeal to a person wanting to be complimented, these types of things. So people mind are made up that they like a person. They don't even know the character of this person. And oftentimes, so many people support and like a person that is hideous in nature. The person that gets the most likes, that gets a lot of support from people, is usually the person that's often pulling the rugs under the feet of other people that are even better than them. And these people don't know it. And sometimes they do know. One second.